Today I'm going to be discussing 10 things you should know before getting dreads. If you're wondering if you are a good candidate for dreadlocks, keep watching. Welcome back to the Atreyu Locs channel. If this is your first time, make yourself comfortable. We are glad to have you. As usual, if you have not already done so, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more lock videos from moi. And if you are already subscribed, definitely hit the notification bell so that you know every single time I upload as soon as I do. So today's video is all about equipping you with the necessary knowledge to have as successful a lock journey as possible. And of course, to help you figure out if you're even a good candidate for locks. To help you decide, I'm gonna list 10 things that you should know before getting dreads. Let's get it. So number 1 is wax causes buildup. It may not show up right away, but one day when you're innocently doing that ACV rinse and all of a sudden your brown locks have become white because all of that wax has raised to the surface, yeah, that's the buildup that so many of us talk about, but that you never really see right away. And you think, oh, I must be an exception. Wax causes buildup. Definitely need to know that. So if you can use something else, you should. And if you have super fine and wavy hair, then maybe you should consider a method that doesn't involve using wax, like instant dreadlocks, the back combing method, the twist and rip. There's so many that you can use. Long gone are the days where you have people with fine wavy hair who have to use wax to get their locks to lock up. There are other alternatives, so definitely research. Number 2 is that bleach will cause breakage. It just will. Your locks are gonna be broken down by the bleach. And while the locks may not break off immediately after application, there's a good chance that one day those locks are going to break off. I have seen countless videos, countless videos where people have said, yeah, I got bleach 7 years ago and now my ends are starting to fall off, or wherever the bleach was, that hair is breaking from that point on down. So please know that bleach will cause your locks to thin out and break off, especially if you're not keeping up with your moisture routine, which it's kind of hard because how do you know how much your strands need to be moisturized? And are you really committed to staying on top of that routine? Bleach causes breakage and it doesn't do it immediately. It's one of those silent killers, kind of like wax. Number 3 is that damp locks will lead to mold and mildew. They will. So make sure you're drying your locks properly. Number 4 is that you might have hair that grows away from your locks. So this is something that you're gonna wanna look into a little bit later in your journey. I would say at least after a year of having locks, you wanna pay attention to how your hair grows out of your scalp. Does it stay in the lock or does it grow away from your lock? And I definitely have videos on that. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, then definitely watch one of those videos to get some insight. But that's something that you're gonna wanna know, because if you do have hair that grows away from your locks and you don't know it and you don't do maintenance often, then your locks can thin out and break off over time. The 5th thing to know is that it's so crucially important for you to have a different mindset when you have locks than when you had loose hair. The reason that it's important is because there are just certain things that you don't do to locks that you could do to loose hair without a problem. All the thick creams and conditioners and products and all of that stuff you could easily do without a second thought, because why? You could wash it out. But anyone with locks will tell you that things do not wash out of our locks so easily. It can oftentimes be very difficult to get products out of your locks, which is why you get buildup. Those products, the residue builds up over time. And then once again, when you're doing that innocent ACV rinse and that buildup has risen to the surface, you actually see what has been happening behind the scenes. So just make sure that you have a different mindset, a different approach to hair when you have locks, because locks are vastly different from loose hair. They just are. Number 6 is that you can wash starter locks. There are ways to do that and expect some unraveling to occur. This It's going to happen. Don't freak out about it. Don't not wash your hair because you're afraid of unraveling occurring. It is expected. It's gonna happen, especially if you're at the beginning. The important thing is having a clean scalp and clean locks. Your hair will eventually lock up. And in fact, it locks up better when it's clean. Number 7, your locks won't mature right away, so don't expect them to. If you go into a lock journey expecting to have mature locks by month 3, then you're in for a rude awakening. It doesn't work like that, okay? Everyone, or most everyone who has locks, depending on their type of locks, depending on what locks they got installed, they had to wait for it to happen. It didn't just happen overnight. It didn't just happen over a few months. That's why it's important to appreciate each stage of the lock journey, okay? Because you can be appreciating what's going on during your first year while you're actually looking forward to that 5th year. That's why people tell you to focus on the present, right? Don't worry about the future. The future you're imagining may never come to pass, right? So if you're stressing over it, then you might be stressing for no reason. And if you're so focused on this idyllic future, then you're going to be missing all the wonderful things that are happening in the present. So don't expect your locks to mature overnight or right away. It's going to take time. Know that going into your lock journey, and it will definitely make it easier for you. The 8th thing that I want you to know is that you're going to have moments when you want to cut your locks. This might be because you're bored with your locks. This might be because they're not where you want them to be and you want to just call it, scrap it, forget it. I don't want these things anymore. Or you might just miss loose hair, or you might just miss having a low cut, a fade. These are common occurrences for lockers, common feelings, common sentiments. It's important to know that these will come along so that you can be prepared for them and so that you can expect them. If you're kind of caught off guard, if you never think about this and then one day you feel like cutting your locks, when in actuality you really want your locks, it's just a fleeting transitory feeling that has entered you, then you might actually cut your locks and regret it later. But if you think about it before entering the lock journey, that hey, I'm going to be feeling this way, then one day, who knows, maybe at that 1 year, 8 month, you start feeling like you want to cut your locks and you remember, oh yeah, Atreyu said that this was going to happen. Let me think about what I really want. No, I don't really want to cut my locks. I'm just feeling frustrated right now. Or I'm just kind of bored right now, or I'm still not where I want to be right now. That's really what I'm feeling. So I'm just going to keep pushing. That's what I'm talking about, okay? So know that you're going to feel a certain type of way at certain points, and it's okay. Ride those feelings. They will pass. And also know that it takes commitment to have long locks. This didn't just happen overnight. It's been longer than 6 years now, okay? But what I didn't do was focus on my locks constantly. What I did do was distract myself and just continue living. And they grew, just like yours will as well. The 9th thing that I want you to know is that frizz is definitely going to be a part of your journey. So if you can't handle frizz, locks are definitely not for you. Obviously, there are certain ways to mitigate frizz, but all of those ways are just temporary. It's going to take time for frizz to eventually go into the lock. But because you're always getting new growth coming out of your scalp, there's always going to be some amount of frizz present. So know that before you enter your lock journey, that frizz is part of the lock journey. If you can't accept that, then maybe locks are not for you. And then the 10th thing that you should know is that once you get locks, especially if they're down and out, that people are going to be intrigued by them. They're going to want to talk to you about them. They're going to want to touch them. Some of them may try to touch them without even asking your permission. These are all things that you should expect. For me, I usually have my locks up in a tam satin vinyl combo, so people don't even see them, and you know the saying, out of sight, out of mind. I mean, I'm sure if they think, he's wearing a tam, he probably has locks, then they'll figure it out. But one, they're covered, so if they try to reach out and touch, they won't get to them. And then secondly, a lot of times they don't really take the thought process that far. So out of sight, out of mind. They don't see my locks, they don't think about my locks. And I'm not suggesting that you should cover your locks all the time. That's just been my habit. I don't like my locks out because they do bring attention to me, and I'm an introvert. I don't really like attention. So yeah, it just works. And then especially during these times with all these germs in the air, I feel like they should definitely be covered, especially when I'm out and about. So yeah, expect people to be intrigued, to have questions, to possibly even want to touch. And if you're not looking for that type of smoke, then yeah, maybe Locs aren't for you. Alright guys, hopefully this video has helped you learn a little bit more about the lock journey and what to expect, what it entails, so that you can make an informed decision about whether or not Locs are for you. These are just 10 things that I believe you definitely needed to know before getting your dreads. It seems that no matter how much research we do beforehand, something always comes up. So I really tried to give you 10 of the most important tips that I could think of, things that you definitely needed to know to help you along the way. Assuming these 10 tips did not scare you off, good luck with your respective lock journeys. You got this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it and if it helped you out, definitely let me know in the comment section. And if you have Locs already, definitely let me know which of the aforementioned points you agree with. I love hearing from you guys. I love responding to you. That's the best part of the lock community. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. This is Locs, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.